So I'm now talking about the basic system of the current money and banking system, and the structure of that system is generally described as a two-tier system. Does it work? Okay, and the first tier in this system is the relationship between the central bank and the banks, and this is the interbank circuit. And the money used within that first tier consists of current account balances of the banks at the central bank. And these balances are referred to as reserves, or meanwhile simply as central bank money. And the second tier, right side in that picture, is between the banks and us, the bank customers. And this is the general public circuit based on bank account balances, demand deposits, as we, the customers, use them for making cashless payments. And meanwhile, those balances are quite simply called bank money. So there is central bank money and bank money. And the two tiers here are related to each other in that the circuit of bank money is tied to the circuit of central bank reserves. And what happens, now the next slide, please. What happens whenever we transfer a demand deposit from our bank account to a customer of another bank is the following. Our demand deposit is deleted by our bank in our account. And then the amount is transferred within the interbank circuit from our bank account to the recipient bank using central bank money. So the payment between our bank and the recipient bank is carried out in central bank money. And then finally, the amount is recreated as bank money by the recipient bank into the respective customer current account. The next slide, please. So that this two-tier system is also referred to as fractional reserve banking, and fractional because for carrying out the bank money payments of customers, banks need to have available central bank money, but only to a fraction, only to a very small fraction of the amounts to be transferred, and under conditions of business as usual, the banks need central bank money amounting to only about 2 to 4% of the entire quantity of bank money, only 2 to 4%. And that's a low-level fractionality of reserves. This is possible for various reasons. The main reason being that the speed of money circulation in the interbank circuit is much, much higher than the velocity of or the frequency of money use in the general money circulation among us, the people, non-banks, private, public households. And furthermore, today there is a high degree of market concentration in the banking sector, so that the central bank money going out of a bank to other banks, that amount is promptly and almost completely offset by central bank money coming into that bank from other banks. The next slide, please. We should see that as a result of cashless payment within that entire system, the dominant type of money today is bank money. It is not central bank money. And in the euro area, for example, cash on average is now down to only about 10% of the money supply and keeps shrinking. And as I said, the necessitate of central bank reserves is normally is basically very low, and so the system is not really led by the central bank as is mostly assumed, but the system is really it's a bank-led system. We could say it's in actual fact it is a bank money regime, and as a result, the monetary sovereignty, in a sense of public money creation or sovereign money creation, that has by now become a kind of empty shell. In a way, the next slide, please. In a way, we could say that that bank money regime, in a way, it's quite sophisticated, and it's also quite normally under conditions of business as usual. It's also quite efficient. But as the saying goes, it works until it doesn't. And indeed, the bank money regime comes with a longer list of shortcomings as listed here. The system produces time after time overshooting and hardly controllable dynamics of money creation. And due to the low level of reserves, the system time after time runs into liquidity shortages, bank run problems, which renders the system inherently unstable and prone to crisis. And therefrom, the bank money itself is unsafe in its existence, if not guaranteed by state central banks and national governments. And the latter, the central banks and the governments, in actual fact, they are compelled to come to the rescue of the banking sector if need be. And this in turn gives banks an unduly privileged position in that system. It's a bank money regime indeed. And not least, as has already been said, that system behaves pro-cyclically in that it fuels financial and real economic boom and bust cycles, which especially also includes asset price inflation, say in housing or stocks and similar financial markets, which adds to imbalances in the distribution of wealth and income. And this in turn, of course, comes with socially and politically destabilizing effects. Next slide, please. It's now about a good 100 years that quite a few, or I would say many renowned economists have criticized fractional reserve banking and also came up with numerous reform proposals, what to do about it. And one general goal in these endeavors, so to say, one common denominator, that is to regain public control over money creation, replacing as much as possible private control of money creation. And historically, there have been two broader approaches as shown here. One is known as 100% money. That's the term preferred by Irving Fisher, or 100% banking, as was the preferred term by the early Chicago school, including Milton Friedman, or simply full reserve banking. And as the name makes clear, these economists, they wanted to overcome the fractionality of banking, while nonetheless keep the banks creating bank money. And the idea was that each amount of bank money must be backed by the same amount of central bank money. So this was about a two-tier or double circuit money system. The other main approach is public money, now especially electronic public money, as proposed by today's prize winner, Professor Yamaguchi. In Europe and America, another term used in a similar sense is sovereign money, in the German language called Vollgeld. Howsoever you call it, next slide, please. Howsoever you call it, electronic public money as envisaged by Professor Yamaguchi, that's a system beyond reserve banking, or say it's a system beyond bank money, in that the two-tier structure is replaced by one single general money circuit using public money only. And furthermore, Yamaguchi assumes using a most advanced type of money today, which is, in his term, electronic public money. Electronic public money would be issued similar to physical cash today by a special state authority alone. And in this way, the overall quantity of the entire official money supply would be under full control of that special monetary state authority. Furthermore, the money would not be loaned into circulation, as is the case today, but it would be spent into circulation by public expenditure and thereafter used by everyone, by banks, public households, general public alike. Now, banks then would be true intermediaries as they are supposed today, but they aren't. But then under a public money regime, banks would be true intermediaries using the pre-existing public money, raising it upstream so as to lend or invest it downstream, and bank credit would no longer be an act of money creation, but it would be an act of intermediary brokerage of electronic public money. So that's it for my part. And what remains for me, dear Kaoru Yamaguchi, is to congratulate you for your outstanding work and its recognition by today's prize award. That's it from my side. Okay.